Hi, I'm Scott Stein, and you want to see a twist in Ultrabooks? How about a super ultra widescreen laptop? The Toshiba Satellite U845W is a new type of Ultrabook that is a strange mutation on what we've seen before. This screen has a 1792 by 768 screen resolution, which is odd, and has a 21:9 aspect ratio. So your average 13-inch laptop or Windows laptop would have a 16:9 screen. This is even wider, and for CinemaScope style movies or movies that get letterboxed, you think, well, this would be perfect, and that's what it's meant for, to show movies without any letterboxing, combined with some really over-the-top, good Harman Kardon speakers that are included. Sounds great in theory. In practice, it's a little bit of a hit-and-miss experience, and I'll tell you why. Because, hey, there's no DVD drive on this laptop. There's no Blu-ray drive on this laptop. It's because it's an Ultrabook. But we've seen Ultrabooks now with optical drives in the last couple of months, so it's not really much of an excuse. And for this type of laptop, you'd want to pop in your cool old movies that you'd like to see in widescreen, and you can't do that here unless you plug in a DVD drive via USB, and are you really going to do that? I wouldn't. So what you're stuck with here is downloads and streaming video. Now if you're downloading a video file or able to rip your own video files that you want to put into that format that you've recorded, well then sure, you can show them off in this format. Streaming depends on the service provider and how they stream their videos. I tested that on Netflix, Hulu Plus, and YouTube, for instance, and the results were mixed. Sometimes you'd see that the video clip would show off perfectly within its borders. Other ones showed off pillaring or pillar boxing, which is that black bars on the sides. Not a surprise if it's not a full widescreen video. And others show window boxing, where the entire video gets surrounded by an extra container of black bars, like a mat within a mat. And that's pretty frustrating, but there's nothing you can really do. A couple of Netflix movies showed that, a few trailers on Hulu Plus. And there really isn't an easy tool on this Toshiba laptop to blow up that video to fit the screen, so you're left a little bit between here and there. But this wide screen is also pretty good for putting two windows that you're browsing on side by side. Now it's not quite the extra screen resolution of a 1920 by 1080, but it's close, and I found that it was great for putting those two windows or two Word documents on one screen. There's another advantage here, and that the footprint to this laptop is really shallow, so you can fit it into an airline tray or a place that doesn't have a lot of depth there. It is long. This laptop feels a bit like a surfboard, and it may be a tight fit in some bags. It's kind of got the footprint of a 15-incher, but a bit of a sawed-off barrel here because its top height here is actually lower than a 13-inch laptop. And let's get into some other details with that screen. It's a 14.4-inch screen, but what does that mean really? Well, if you use it, you might find that the text is actually coming off a little bit small. And that's because the height on that screen is 5 3/4 inches, which is actually a smaller screen height than you get on a 14-inch laptop, or even a 13-inch, or even a 12.5-inch. In fact, I held a new 3rd-gen iPad up to it, and it was about similar screen height. So imagine that iPad screen stretched out super wide, and you've kind of got what you've got here. It's an odd type of a screen, it's an odd type of terminology, and that's not the same as calling a regular 13-inch laptop a 13-inch or even a 14-inch laptop. This is its own beast, and so buyer beware in terms of that. Now, you may get some use out of that screen. You're going to get a lot more use out of those speakers, which sound fantastic and are the best that I've heard on an Ultrabook. And the rest of the specs in here are pretty straightforward. A 500GB hard drive, 6 gigs of RAM, a Core i5 3rd-gen processor that's Ultrabook, and we've seen that on a lot of laptops. The problem is that you can get those specs in other Ultrabooks for about $800, and this is $999, so you are paying up for the feature set here with that widescreen and with those speakers. If this excites you, well then hey, Toshiba's made you a concept laptop and you don't have to pay a lot of money to get into it, and the battery life is good. But on the flip side, are you really going to use this ultra wide screen, and what are you going to use it for? That's the concern, and certainly that's a valid concern. And how many software programs are really going to take advantage of that screen resolution? You're basically going to have to fit those windows yourself. I'm Scott Stein, and that's a look at the funky, weird, and kind of useful Toshiba Satellite U845W.